Canadian Defence Minister Paul Hellyer claims aliens have visited Earth for thousands of years. Former Canadian Defence Minister Paul Hellyer claims that at least 4 known species of alien species have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. In effect, what he's doing is he's trying to break open alien disclosure. Speaking to Russia Today back in 2014, Hellyer claimed that when he was Minister of National Defence for Canada in the 1960s, he worked with extraterrestrials. Yes, he says he worked with ETs, aliens, space aliens, who he said were in contact with high-ranking government officials around the world. AWD News reports Paul Hellyer was the Canadian Minister of National Defence in the 1960s during the Cold War. He was responsible for combining the Canadian Air Force, Navy, and Army into what is known today as the Canadian Forces. He was the highest-ranking person on paper inside of the Department of Defence for Canada. The Honourable Paul Hellyer is the highest-ranking person among all G8 countries to openly speak about UFOs and extraterrestrials. He has been speaking about UFOs and ETs for quite some time now, and he recently made an appearance on RT News stating that there are at least 4 known alien species that have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. Upon retirement, Hellyer began to blow the whistle on UFOs and extraterrestrials. That's because he wanted to open up UFO alien disclosure. His testimony is backed up by hundreds of other high-ranking military and political personnel all over the world, including official documents released by dozens of governments worldwide that have officially acknowledged the presence of UFOs. I think it's also important to point out that the Canadian government recently acknowledged the fact that various federal agencies, including Transport Canada, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, and the Department of National Defence, used to track and investigate UFO sightings. 1. They claim to have stopped those programs, but that contradicts the Defence Minister Hellyer's claims. There is good reason to believe, and a lot of evidence to suggest, that some of these UFOs are indeed extraterrestrial spacecraft and not at all military. And the activities of the agencies responsible for those programs goes far beyond just tracking of UFOs, but into contact with various extraterrestrial races, other classified technological developments, and more. Here's some of what Paul Hellyer has to say. For more, you can watch the video clip below. Quote, "In one of the cases during the Cold War in 1961, there was about 50 UFOs in formation flying south from Russia across Europe. The Supreme Allied Commander was very concerned and was about ready to press the panic button when they turned around and went back over the North Pole. They decided to do an investigation, and they investigated for 3 years, and they decided that with absolute certainty that 4 different species at least have been visiting this planet for thousands of years. There's been a lot more activity in the past 2 decades, especially since we invented the atomic bomb. They are very concerned about that, and if we will use it again, because the whole cosmos is a unity and it affects not just us but other people in the cosmos. They're very much afraid that we might start using atomic weapons again, and this would be very bad for us and them also," end quote. This is a statement made by Paul Hellyer. One more Paul Hellyer statement, quote, "Many are benign and benevolent, and a few are not. They come from various places. For a long while, I only knew about ones that came from different star systems, the Pleiades. There are extraterrestrials that come from Andromeda, and ones that live on one of Saturn's moons. There is a federation of these people, and they have rules. One of them is that they don't interfere with our affairs unless they are invited. They have accepted the fact that this is our planet and we have the right to run it, but they are very concerned. They don't think that we are good stewards of our planet. We are ruining our planet. We're doing all sorts of things that we should not be doing, and they don't like that. They've made it clear, and they have given us a warning," end quote. Another Paul Hellyer quote, Decades ago, visitors from other planets warned us about the direction we were heading and offered to help. Instead, some of us interpreted their visits as a threat and decided to shoot first and ask questions after. It is ironic that the US should be fighting monstrously expensive wars, allegedly to bring democracy to those countries, when it itself can no longer claim to be called a democracy when trillions, and I mean thousands of billions of dollars have been spent on black projects, which both Congress and the Commander-in-Chief have been kept deliberately in the dark for. This is again by Paul Hellyer. I'll leave a link below for you for this. This is by Sean Altabatabai, and you can watch the embedded video of this. Is about 26 minutes. It's worth watching. Okay, that's it. It's on your newswire.